Hi there, if you've clicked on this video, chances are you've already lived through some incredible decades, full of highs, lows, challenges, and triumphs. Maybe you've raised a family, built a career, or chased dreams that kept you going for years. But now you're standing at a different stage of life. A stage where, suddenly, everything feels quieter. The goals you once had might not feel so urgent anymore. Maybe you've even caught yourself wondering, what now? Here's where it gets interesting. What if everything they told us about how to live a successful life was wrong? What if, after all these years, the real secret to happiness isn't about doing more, working harder, or staying constantly busy? In fact, I'm here to say something that might sound radical. Do less. Not because you've given up, but because you've earned the right to finally live life on your terms. Forget the grind. Forget keeping up appearances. What if this stage of life wasn't about achieving more, but about subtracting what no longer serves you? So, let me ask you, what would you remove from your life if you knew it would set you free? Ready to rethink everything? Let's dive in. So, what does it really mean to do less? Why would I suggest something that seems to go against everything we've been taught our whole lives? Let me explain it this way. I once knew a man named Jack. He was 68, retired, financially secure, and in good health. On the surface, Jack's life looked perfect. He had done everything right. He worked hard, built a successful career, raised a family, and followed every rule about how to prepare for a fulfilling retirement. But one day, over coffee, Jack said something that completely stopped me in my tracks. I feel like I spent my whole life climbing a ladder, only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall. Jack's words stayed with me because I knew he wasn't alone in feeling that way. How many of us have spent decades working tirelessly, chasing goals, and doing what was expected, only to reach this stage in life and feel a little lost? Maybe you've been there too. You did everything right, but now you find yourself wondering what's next. What's really important now? Here's the truth no one tells us. The problem isn't time. It's how we've been told to use it. For years, society has convinced us that staying busy and being productive is the key to happiness. Work hard. Stay active. Keep going. Don't slow down. But at this stage in life, does it still make sense to follow that same pattern? Or is it time to take a different approach? When I say do less, I'm not suggesting you give up or withdraw from life. Not at all. What I'm saying is this might be the perfect time to be more intentional with how you spend your energy. You've already done the hard work. You've carried the responsibilities, met the expectations, and played all the roles life demanded. But now, finally, you have the freedom to choose. What will you do with that freedom? Let me ask you, if you could remove just one thing from your life today, something that drains your time, energy, or joy, what would it be? Less stress? Fewer obligations? Fewer distractions? The beauty of this stage in life is that you get to decide what matters most. And here's the secret that most people don't realize until it's too late. Happiness doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing what truly brings you joy. For many of us, the answer lies not in adding more to our lives, but in subtracting what no longer serves us. This shift isn't about giving up. It's about focusing on what matters. Time is the most precious thing we have, and unlike money, we can't earn more of it. Once it's spent, it's gone. That's why it's crucial to use it wisely. We've spent years measuring success by our accomplishments, by how much money we made, how many goals we hit, how busy we stayed. But let me ask you something, how much of that truly matters now? If someone handed you $1 million today but told you that you only had 1 year left to live, would you take it? Of course not. Because at this stage in life, time is far more valuable than money. The question becomes, what are you spending your time on, and is it really worth it? Think about the moments that make you happiest. Are they tied to a paycheck or a title? Or are they the simple things, laughing with a grandchild, walking in the park, enjoying a quiet morning with your coffee? We've been conditioned to believe that staying busy gives our lives meaning, but that's a lie we no longer need to believe. The truth is, doing less can actually give you more, a life that feels lighter, freer, and more meaningful. What commitments or habits are weighing you down? What parts of your life no longer serve a purpose? Maybe it's the pressure to always say yes. Maybe it's the constant noise of obligations you no longer care about. Jack's life changed when he stopped asking, "What should I be doing next?" and started asking, what do I actually enjoy? He let go of the need to stay endlessly productive and focused on the small things. Playing chess with his grandson, walking his dog every afternoon, spending time listening to his favorite old records. And you know what? He found joy again. Not in some grand purpose, but in the quiet simplicity of each day. So what about you? What would your life look like if you let go of just one thing that no longer brings you happiness? What if doing less, saying no to the things that no longer matter, actually set you free? The world has told you for decades to do more, but maybe it's time to challenge that. Maybe it's time to live differently. Let's keep going. Let's talk about one of the biggest lies we've been sold. Money equals happiness. For decades, we were told to work hard, save every penny, and someday, if we're lucky, we'll be able to enjoy life. The dream was simple: retire with a healthy bank account, travel, live without a care in the world. It sounds great on paper, but here's the twist. When that someday arrives, many of us realize it's not what we expected. You can have money, but without time, it means absolutely nothing. You can own a beautiful home, but if you're too tired or too busy to enjoy it, what's the point? This is a hard truth, and not everyone wants to hear it, but here it is. Money is replaceable. Time isn't. I once met a woman named Susan. She retired at 62 with a comfortable savings account and plans to travel the world with her husband. They had worked their entire lives for this moment, years of overtime, skipped vacations, and countless sacrifices, so they could live the life they had always dreamed of. But just 2 months into retirement, her husband fell ill and passed away unexpectedly. In an instant, all the money in the world couldn't buy back the time they thought they had. I'll never forget what Susan told me afterward. Her voice was steady, but her words hit me like a punch to the chest. If I had known, I wouldn't have waited. I wouldn't have worked those extra years. I wouldn't have traded our time for a bigger savings account. Her story is heartbreaking, but it's also a powerful reminder. We don't know how much time we have left. Yet so many of us still treat time like it's endless, while obsessing over how to grow our bank accounts. Let me ask you, how many people do you know who sacrificed their health, their relationships, or their dreams for work? How many plan to live later only to find that later never came? At this stage of life, accumulating more money might not bring you the happiness you think it will. I'm not saying financial security isn't important. It absolutely is. But once your basic needs are met, chasing more wealth may actually hold you back. The smartest investment you can make right now isn't in the stock market. It's in your time. Think about how carefully you budgeted your money when you were younger. You saved, tracked every dollar, and made smart choices about what was worth spending on. So why aren't we doing the same with our time? Why are we still spending hours, days, and even years on things that don't bring us joy or fulfillment? Time is our most precious resource, yet we often waste it on obligations that no longer serve us. Let me tell you about a man I knew. He sold his big house in the suburbs, downsized to a smaller home, and started focusing on what truly mattered: spending time with his grandkids, volunteering at an animal shelter, and taking long walks in the morning. His friends thought he was out of his mind. Why would you give up that house? Don't you want to leave something behind for your kids? They asked. His response caught them off guard. The best thing I can leave my kids isn't a big inheritance. It's memories. It's time spent together. That's worth more than any piece of property. And you know what? His kids agreed. Because when he stopped focusing on accumulating more and started prioritizing time, he became happier, more present, and more connected to his family. So now it's your turn. What would your life look like if you started treating your time like the precious currency it is? What if you stopped doing the things that drain you and focused on the things that light you up? Would you finally take that trip you've been putting off? Would you reconnect with an old friend? Would you spend more time outdoors? Or go back to a hobby you loved years ago? And just as importantly, what would you let go of? What's weighing you down? Is it the pressure to stay busy? The fear of slowing down? Or maybe it's the expectation that you have to keep doing more just to prove your worth. The truth is, less can be more. Less stress, fewer obligations, fewer distractions. These things open up space for the moments that truly matter. The people who learn to prioritize time over money aren't just happier, they're freer. They live life on their own terms. And at this stage, isn't that the freedom you've been chasing all along? For decades, we've been told that hard work is the ultimate key to success. Work harder, do more, stay busy, that's the recipe for a happy life, right? But here's the plot twist. What if that belief was a trap? What if all that hard work wasn't the answer, but the very thing keeping you from the life you've always wanted? Most of us have lived by this rule for so long that it's become part of our identity. For years, work defined who we were. It shaped our routines, gave us purpose, and even made us feel valuable. But now, after all that effort, you might find yourself wondering, is this it? What happens next? Here's the truth. When you've been on the treadmill of hard work for decades, stepping off can feel terrifying. It's easy to think, if I'm not working, what am I contributing? Who am I without my job, my title, my role? That fear is real. But so is the opportunity that comes with it. This stage of life isn't about doing more. It's about being more. Imagine this. What if you decided, right here, right now, that you no longer have to prove anything to anyone? You've already done enough. You don't have to fill every day with obligations just to feel like you're being productive. In fact, the most liberating thing you can do is to let go of the pressure to stay endlessly busy. There's a man named Robert who worked tirelessly his whole life. He was proud of his career, proud of his accomplishments, but when he retired, he struggled. Without work, he felt lost. So he kept busy, volunteering at multiple organizations, attending every social event, and filling his calendar with back-to-back commitments. He was doing everything he thought he should do, but something was missing. One day, while sitting in traffic on his way to yet another meeting, Robert had a realization. Why am I doing this? Who am I trying to impress? He couldn't answer the question. That night, he sat down with his wife and made a decision. He scaled back on his commitments, started saying no to things that didn't truly matter, and focused on what brought him joy: gardening, spending quiet mornings with his coffee, and reconnecting with old friends. The change was almost immediate. The stress melted away. He felt lighter, happier, more himself. He didn't need a packed schedule to feel fulfilled. In fact, the opposite was true. He needed space. And here's the thing, you can do the same. Ask yourself, what obligations are you carrying right now that no longer serve you? What commitments are you saying yes to simply out of habit or guilt? And more importantly, what would you like to do more of? For some people, it's as simple as spending more time outdoors, taking a daily walk, or dusting off those paintbrushes you haven't touched in years. For others, it's finally learning something new, joining a book club, or traveling to places you've always dreamed of. Whatever it is, now is the perfect time to do it. You've earned this freedom. Use it. I know what you might be thinking, but shouldn't I stay busy to stay healthy, active, and engaged? Of course, staying active is important, but there's a difference between meaningful activity and mindless busyness. The goal isn't to sit on the couch all day doing nothing. The goal is to fill your time with things that genuinely make you happy, not things that drain your energy or leave you feeling empty. This stage of life is your chance to redefine what work means. Work doesn't have to be about earning money or proving your worth. Work can be anything that brings you joy and fulfillment. Gardening, mentoring, learning something new, or simply being present with the people you love. So here's the challenge. Let go of the idea that being busy makes you valuable. Let go of the pressure to fill every hour with something productive. Instead, ask yourself, what makes me feel truly alive? Because that's the kind of work worth doing. Remember, the world may still tell you to keep going, to do more, to stay relevant. But you don't have to listen. You've earned the right to slow down, to breathe, and to choose how you spend your days. Less work, more life. Doesn't that sound like freedom? Now, here's where things get truly interesting. Once you start letting go of unnecessary work and busyness, something remarkable happens. You begin to see life with fresh eyes. It's like clearing out a cluttered room and suddenly realizing how much space and light was always there, hidden beneath the mess. And here's the kicker. You don't have to live by anyone else's rules anymore. For so long, we've followed the script society handed us. Study hard, work hard, save money, raise a family, retire. Then finally you'll be free. But no one ever tells you what to do with that freedom once you have it. So we often fall into the trap of continuing the same patterns, taking on responsibilities out of habit, following routines that no longer serve us, and caring far too much about what others think. But here's the truth: you don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't have to prove anything to anyone anymore. You don't have to live up to anyone's expectations. This is your life. I remember hearing a story about a woman named Margaret. She was 72 and had lived her entire life trying to make everyone else happy. She dressed the way people expected her to dress, attended every family function whether she wanted to or not, and rarely did anything for herself. One day, after reading a letter her younger self had written decades earlier, Margaret realized how much she had sacrificed for the sake of appearances. That day, she made a bold decision. She was going to live life on her terms. She started wearing clothes that made her feel comfortable, said no to social obligations that drained her, and took up painting again, a passion she had abandoned in her 30s. Her family was surprised at first, but eventually they admired her for it. And Margaret? She felt alive again, like she was finally living her truth. So what about you? If you stripped away all the expectations, what kind of life would you choose to live? Think about it. What opinions or judgments have been holding you back? Maybe it's the fear of disappointing others or the belief that you have to act a certain way at this age. But here's the beauty of this stage in life: you don't have to care anymore. Not about what people think of your choices, not about their opinions on how you should spend your time, and definitely not about meeting their standards. This is your chance to subtract the things that don't matter so you can make room for the things that do. And the best part? There's incredible freedom in realizing that less can actually be more. Fewer obligations mean more time for the things that light you up. Fewer commitments mean more space to explore what truly brings you joy. Take a moment to imagine it. What if you no longer worried about pleasing everyone else? What if you could spend your days exactly how you wanted, without apology or explanation? What would your life look like then? Would you finally spend that summer living by the beach even if people think it's impractical? Would you learn to play an instrument even if someone says you're too old for that? Would you spend entire afternoons in your garden, just listening to the birds and feeling the sun on your face? The truth is, once you stop chasing approval and start following your heart, everything changes. You begin to discover who you really are beneath all the layers of expectation. You realize that true freedom isn't about having more or doing more. It's about letting go of the things that never mattered in the first place. So, let me ask you again, what would your life look like if you started living on your own terms? What would you subtract to make space for the things that bring you peace, joy, and fulfillment? The world might still tell you to stay busy, to do more, to keep up appearances. But that's their script, not yours. This is your time. Live it boldly. Live it fully. Because at the end of the day, the only opinion that truly matters is your own. If there's one lesson life teaches us over time, it's this: the more you try to control everything, the more life finds ways to surprise you. And sometimes those surprises aren't what we had planned. That's the hardest truth to accept, but it's also the most liberating. Letting go is not about giving up, it's about making space for the unexpected joys life still has to offer. Most of us spent our younger years carefully planning every detail of our future. We saved money, made 5-year plans, mapped out our careers, and imagined how things would unfold. And maybe, for a while, everything went according to plan. But life has a way of throwing curveballs: financial struggles, health challenges, lost opportunities, and if we're being honest, how much of our life has really gone the way we imagined it? Letting go of the need to control the future isn't easy. It's scary. But here's the beautiful thing about it: when you stop holding so tightly to what you think your life should be, you start to appreciate it for what it is. I knew a man named Tom who planned his retirement down to the last detail. He was meticulous, every dollar accounted for, every year planned in advance. But when his wife was diagnosed with a serious illness, everything changed overnight. Suddenly all those plans didn't matter. What mattered was the time they still had together. Tom told me later that in the end, it wasn't the plans that gave him peace. It was learning to be present, one day at a time. We can't predict what life will throw at us, and that's okay. There's incredible freedom in releasing the need to control what comes next. When we let go, we stop wasting energy on things we can't change, and we start focusing on the things we can enjoy right now, the things that truly matter. So let me ask you, What are you holding on to that no longer serves you? Maybe it's the idea that you have to be in control of everything. Maybe it's old regrets that keep replaying in your mind. Maybe it's the fear of what the future holds. Whatever it is, imagine what it would feel like to release that weight. Imagine how much lighter you'd feel. Letting go isn't about forgetting or pretending challenges don't exist. It's about trusting that you've done enough, prepared enough, and that now it's time to live in the moment. You don't have to fix everything. You don't have to plan every detail. You just have to be here. And that's where the magic happens. When you stop worrying about what might happen next, you start noticing all the little things you used to overlook. The smell of fresh coffee in the morning, the laughter of your grandchildren, the way the sunlight filters through the trees during your afternoon walk. These are the moments that will matter most in the end. Not the money in your bank account, not the plans you made, not the titles or accomplishments, just the simple, beautiful moments of being present with the people you love. And if you let go of the need to control it all, life has a way of surprising you, in the best ways. A chance encounter, a new passion you never expected, the discovery that joy can come from the most ordinary places. So here's my challenge to you: let go. Let go of the expectations, the pressure, the need to have it all figured out. Focus on what's right in front of you. Trust that life will unfold exactly as it's meant to. Because the truth is, you've earned the right to breathe, to rest, and to live each day fully, without the burden of trying to control what comes next. In the end, the greatest gift you can give yourself is the freedom to live just as you are, right here, right now. If you've made it this far, thank you for sharing this journey with me. We've explored what it means to live life differently, to do less, to value your time over money, to embrace simplicity, and to let go of what no longer serves you. Now it's time for the most important step: putting it into action. This stage of your life isn't about doing more. It's about being free from the expectations of others, free from the pressure to stay endlessly busy, and free to live life on your own terms. So here's the big question: what will you do with this freedom? Will you finally give yourself permission to slow down and breathe? Will you say no to the things that drain your energy and yes to the things that bring you joy? Will you spend your days chasing the things that truly matter? Love, peace, connection, rather than the endless race for more? You've earned this. You've worked hard, given so much of yourself, and now it's your time. Time to subtract the noise and add the peace. Time to let go of what weighs you down and embrace the lightness that comes with living simply and intentionally. And if you ever feel unsure or guilty for stepping away from the busyness, remember this: your worth isn't tied to how much you do. It's found in who you are, and that's more than enough. So what's next for you? What's the one thing you'll let go of today? What's the first step you'll take toward a life of true freedom? Whatever your answer is, remember, this is your life, your story, your chapter to write. Be bold, be intentional. Most importantly, be free. Thank you for watching, for reflecting, and for being part of this conversation. If this message resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below. Tell me one thing you're ready to let go of or something new you're excited to embrace. And if this inspired you, don't forget to like the video, share it with someone who might need this message, and subscribe for more. Until next time, take care of yourself, live fully, and remember, you are free.